Welcome to week 4, Embodied Feminine Leadership. Embodied Feminine Leadership. So I ask you, how in your body are you right now? How in your body are you right now? What does that even mean, to be in the body, right? Where else would we be? Well, if we grew up in the West, the global West, we're probably right here. We are socialized to value the mental, to live through the mental, to experience through the mental. It's how we experience a lot of our day. And even though I'm always a little skeptical about statistics and percentages in general, it has been suggested that a Western woman, like a modern Western woman, is only occupying her bodily experience, right, embodied, about 20% of the time. And because I'm a woman and because I'm in a body, I believe that statistic. Why does it matter? I'd like to read a little something about part of what I think matters when it comes to this topic. When our ancestors lived in greater alignment with the earth, with the seasons, the cycles, with it and with each other, they were worshiping goddesses as well as gods and sharing the wisdom of the cosmos, the stars, the wisdom of the plant medicines, the mysteries of the body, birth, death. When these practices were intentionally and unintentionally diluted or destroyed by the systems of the patriarchy, by the momentum of colonization, and by the tidal wave that is the forces of capitalism. When these systems, these ways of relating, were diluted or destroyed by these systems, we, the human beings, lost also, in tandem, our connection to the essence of the feminine in ways that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, yeah? When the sacred feminine was forcibly removed, buried, and lost across human lineages, she was forcibly removed from our awareness. And it is time to restore her. To restore the feminine, to embody the wholeness, including this magical, deep, deep wisdom of the feminine experience. We do that as individuals so that we can bring that to our relationships, how we're relating to ourselves, what we're creating, the work that we put out into the world, right? All these dynamics we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. It's like we we restore that in ourselves so that we can then hold space from this place. A more sacred feminine society will help correct the patriarchal harm that has been done, including violence, domination, the othering of gender and other forms of diversity, the silencing of an indigenous voice and perspective, and the disproportionate, disharmonious extraction of life-giving resources on our planet, just to name a few. We can think of this restored sacred feminine vision for humanity as including healing, rest, creativity, nourishment, collaboration, fierce protection, gentle, nurturing. The energies of the mother, the same energies that disappeared and have been disappearing, restored back into our vision for humanity. That's what we do when we reclaim the feminine. That's what we do when we embody those energies and hold space for others to do the same. We need leaders who are willing to risk their belonging to a patriarchal society that's not serving us anymore. So, what is embodiment? Let's keep this simple. To embody. To embody is to inhabit the self. So we already pointed out this phenomenon of perhaps spending a lot of the day not embodied. But there are definitely times in the day where you are. When you feel a chill and you think to yourself, well, if I go and I sit by the windowsill here, I can feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. And that will help me come back into a balance. I can't possibly have another sip of water until I pee. I have to pee. I am hungry. I'm going to need to eat within the next hour or I'm going to start to get a little shaky, right? These are moments in our day where we take present moment information from the body, from the mind, from the emotional body, take that information and receive it consciously, usually giving way to some action, right? Like something that we do or choose. So that is embodiment, and we do that, and we also could do a lot more of that, because so many of us, like, what is that? Why would we only be in the body 20%? Well, for one, the conditioning has taught us to be in the mind, to use the mind, to capitalize on the mind. That is where we are celebrated. That is where we are rewarded. So we hang out there. And sometimes don't even know there's an alternative in a lot of cases, right? Like decision making. The mind is not fit to make decisions. Did anyone ever tell you that? The mind is an incredible tool for collecting data, right? To receive data. But to know what is right for you, what your body needs, what your heart desires, so big deal. We're not embodied. Does it matter? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we're disembodied, we are disconnected from that present moment information, right? That I just mentioned. We are disconnected from our preferences, our needs, our desires. The present moment information that we need to create the safety, the okayness, right? The wholeness. when we don't have access to that information, we dishonor ourselves on a regular basis. And it's not like we're doing it because we are bad in any way. It's literally when we don't have the information to honor, how can we? So if we're not tuned into the information, we can't honor it. So we tend to do things like eat and drink our emotions. We tend to do things like using external sensations like sugar and shopping and sex, right? To fill the void, to fill the numbness, to give us something to feel, right? Besides what we are feeling underneath that impulse. To be more likely to break our own boundaries and our own agreements because we're disconnected from what we actually want and need. So we're more likely to lean into something that's not that, right? And this one's huge, y'all, because I have not yet worked with a woman who did not have some issues with worthiness, with this sense of being enough as she is. And that feeling of not being good enough is directly connected to our experience of being disembodied. Because if we were occupying our body more fully and creating safety for all the experiences that we're having in the present moment, then we would feel more okay. We wouldn't have this, I'm only okay if, and I only know if it's good if this happens and this, and we're always waiting for something else to make it okay. We have a hard time knowing what we want. We have a hard time making decisions. We have a hard time knowing how to move, what kind of movement we want, what would feel good, right? These are all symptoms of being disembodied. So yes, it very much matters for us. So as we connect these collective imbalances, right, that we've been studying the last couple of weeks, and how the wounding shows up in our personal experience. As we've been doing that, we want to now bring that to this conversation about leadership. Right? What did I say a moment ago? We need leaders who are brave enough to risk not belonging to a system that doesn't serve them. That's us. That's why we're here. Because we felt that call. We have that courage. We already know the way it is not good enough for us. It's not good enough for our people and our planet. So it's like, well, to be the new leaders. Are we ready? Are we good enough? Do we have what we need? This is not about, oh, this is really beautiful, y'all. Just take a deep breath here. It's like, this is not about being perfect. This is about you being perfectly who you are. And creating a sense of normalization and safety around that so that others can do it too. That's it. This is not about you being the master of embodiment. This is not about you being perfect in your practices of embodiment. This is not about you being able to answer all the questions and give all of the advice. This is about you being courageous enough to live into embodiment and to invite others to do it with you. Thank you for doing this work. So counter to the leadership models that a lot of us, if you are from the West, are used to and have normalized, that look a lot like this. Top down. Teachers at the front of the room, right? Pastor or preacher is at the pulpit. Speaker is on the stage, right? They speak, we listen. They lead, we follow. It's a very familiar sort of masculine value-informed style of leadership. Well, we're here to circle up. So part of that, we can do better, and it's time to bring the feminine back in. The feminine is the circle. We all sit on the same level. None of us before or after the other. None of us on top of or underneath another, each with a face to the center, each occupying an equal amount of space with a unique perspective that belongs to us and is weighted the same as every other person in that circle. So regardless of whether or not you want to be a women's circle guide or not, the invitation here is to revive the model of this circle-informed leadership. The leadership that revives the sacred feminine. Let's do that. So this week you have a embodiment practice that you'll do. And that's key, because if we're not practicing embodiment, you know what we're doing? We're thinking about it, we're talking about it, we're thinking about it. So let's get in there and do that. There's a beautiful, longer practice for you. There's an audio that will sort of guide you in. That's my voice. And then that will go right into you pressing play on a playlist. And that playlist will, that will be the background for your practice. Okay, and the whole thing will probably take, between 35 and 40 minutes or so. And then depending on how long you journal, there's journal prompts for both before and after that practice. So please prioritize that practice. And prioritize being more aware of your own level of embodiment at any given point in the day, right? Maybe you set a reminder on your phone, like a couple times a day. And when that bell chimes, it's time to get in your body for 1 minute. Just feel what you feel. It's not an earth-shattering, complicated process. It's just something that we're out of practice doing. In a lot of our cases. So just a matter of remembering, So for the remainder of this call, I would like to share briefly, I think there's 8, if I remember correctly, 8 principles of embodied feminine leadership. So when I was saying this is not about mastery or expertise, this is about living into the principles of embodiment, of feminine reclamation, right? And feminine informed leadership. So these are some of the principles of that, to just break it down. And I will also include a resource that has a list of these so you can refer back to them, okay? But feel free to take any notes. So the first principle of embodied feminine leadership is, drum roll please, to be embodied. To live into the practice of being embodied. So this is the sister who is intentionally listening to the present moment information and learning to speak that language, right? To communicate in that way. She trusts in the perfection of the information. She trusts in the perfection of her ability to understand it. She trusts in the timing of all of that. So the type of practices we do this week, right? The embodiment practice with movement and music, to revive those practices daily. That's an example of living into what it means to be an embodied woman. Number 2, authentic. This is a sister who is continually striving to be as vulnerable and real and authentic as she can be. Capable of sharing herself, of sharing her story, sharing her ideas with others. Sharing, teaching, healing, connecting. She has discernment, right, around the safety of being vulnerable, and she practices it. She practices that discernment so that she can show up authentically and model how to do that for others. Number 3, courageous. An embodied feminine leader is courageous. She walks openly into her fear, knowing that often what she fears is exactly what she needs, exactly where she needs to be, exactly where her medicine is for her wounds. She does not allow fear to keep her from trusting the flow of her own life. She sees fear as a message of something that needs to be given care, overcome, integrated somehow, or that it's a message that something's off. The universe is saying, you paying attention? Number 4, integrity. An embodied feminine leader has integrity. She honors her word. She honors and lives in integrity with truth. She says no when she needs to say no. She says yes when she means to say yes. And she knows in her body if she is uncomfortable, if she is afraid. She follows that internal messaging and she follows the internal guidance, even when it's controversial, even when it is contrary to public opinion. She knows that sometimes following her truth is going to be hurtful. And she also knows that if she is acting out of her heart, rooted in truth, pure love, it'll be the best for everybody. The highest offering. Embodied, authentic, courageous, in integrity. Number 5, ever awakening. I love that one. An embodied feminine leader is a woman of a path that has experienced something that has changed her. And it could have been a car accident, could have been a miscarriage, could have been a crisis of faith, could have been anything. But whatever it is, she knows that it's significant and she is here for it. This may mean that she notices her connections to things more deeply. She may feel more sensitive to the world. She may have a greater sense of compassion for herself, her experiences, her loss, greater compassion for others. Whatever her experiences has offered her, it has given her the confidence to know that she is the creator of her reality. She is the creator of her own life, and she feels a devotion to that path, to being awake to that phenomenon, so she can participate in it consciously. Number 6, she is an initiate of the sisterhood. So think a lot about last week, week 3, when we talked about the sisterhood wounding and the pledge of sisterhood. So the sisterhood initiate is striving to adhere to the principles of the pledge, right? It's the service-oriented, the healthy boundary, the compassionate, right? The nurturing and supportive sister. She recognizes that everyone is a teacher. She recognizes and knows when a relationship is coming in for purpose and when it is time to be released because it has lost its purpose. She examines her triggers and strives to be a lighthouse of compassion and understanding. She is a good listener, a good mediator, and seeks to understand diverse perspective. She has curiosity. She is an initiate of the sisterhood. Embodied feminine leader is anti-racist. right? Depending on which conversations you participated in recently, you may or may not be comfortable owning a level of racism within yourself. That is a whole body of work that we will not be diving deeply into here. However, to know that there is some degree of racism inherent in our being, and to be committed, devoted to the anti-racism in our leadership, in our embodied femininity, is it matters. The anti-racist, she acknowledges all the value of all people, right? All beings, cultures, races. She humbly acknowledges that her experience and her perspective are no more important, more valuable, more truthful than anyone else's. Circle. She studies her biases. She checks her privilege, and she works on opening her heart through all of that, because it's hard. It's painful. It brings up the yuckiest of the shadows for us. Number 8, our final embodied feminine leadership principle for today is she's a feminist. Stay with me. She is a woman who honors the feminine essences, the feminine energies, those sweet, juicy gifts that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. She honors these in all beings. She honors these energies in our earth, in our universe, in our galaxy. She need not fight with men. She need not fight with men or anyone else, because she recognizes that the patriarchy, the anti-feminism, is affecting just as many men as women. It's affecting all of us. It's affecting our planet, right? So there's no reason to pick fights with men. She knows that we are in this together, and seeks to embody the feminine essence in balance with this healthy masculine, so that she can create harmonious change in her life, in her relationships, and in the spaces where she leads and participates and collaborates. Enjoy the content this week. Make sure that you spend extra time being in your body. And that sounds simple. It's the remembering piece, right? We're retraining ourselves to be more embodied. So you might even try like a mindfulness bell, like an app on your phone that just like dings a couple times a day. Hey, get in your body. Maybe you give yourself a little reminder in the doorways, or in the by the light switches. Have fun with it. And I'll see you soon.